The Nomiki Show.
The New York Police Union, which is one of the strongest and most vocal, and the NYPD, of course, separate from the union, has its tentacles all across the globe in terms of global surveillance. I don't think most people understand that, like, the NYPD is larger than most militaries around the country. So the police union lobbyists are working with one of the mayoral candidates. Interesting, huh? So Sludge, one of our favorite publications, has come out with this today or yesterday, I believe, that the NYPD Union is working with Andrew Yang. It's being run by former lobbyists for the city's largest, the nation's largest police union. It is the third largest source of spending, with policing and corrections more than 4 times the amount spent on homelessness and housing development. I don't think we're surprised, but we are a little over, what is it? It's April. We're a month and a half away from the election. And I don't want to be like New York centric, but this is significant. The city does have a large budding progressive population, but the turnout for these citywide elections is abysmal. And so I think a lot of folks are fearing, especially with the new ranked choice voting, that Andrew Yang has a real shot. And not only does Andrew Yang not know much, but like, this is scary. So let's start with the New Yorker, Jamie Peck, and then we'll move to Esperanza, because New York does influence the rest of the country and the globe.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I'm surprised. I think Yang is a huge dumbass who just kind of goes where the wind blows. So, you know, to the degree that he was ever a libertarian, that's obviously gone out the window. I guess it's sort of like he's trying to slot himself into this, this New York Party political machine, which is sort of interesting because, you know, he likes to play himself off like he's this new guy with new ideas and a fresh air or whatever. But I mean, I should say the New York City Democratic political machine is also bad. But at least they have to, you know, make some deals with unions from time to time. Whereas Yang is just an outsider who's like it's going to be like full on neoliberal hell world, you know, outsource the MTA to Elon Musk type of deal. But it doesn't speak well of what's going to happen. Like I just did an episode of the Antifada last week with a tech reporter named Edward Ongwiso Jr. And we went over some of the ways that technology and the tech industry and the security industry is merging with policing to make it even more oppressive than it was before, under the name of, you know, better policing, progress, right? We're not gonna have a wall on the border anymore. We're gonna have a smart wall made out of drones and robot dogs and shit. Like none of it's good.
It's interesting you say that, because there is a candidate in the race that used to be a cop, and he's the Brooklyn Borough President, Eric Adams, who, you know, his story is he's African American. When he was a kid, he was beat the crap out of with his brother by a cop, and then his idea was, I'm going to become a cop and reform it.
Yeah, we're going to reform the SS from the inside. Like literally, though.
It's literally it, yeah. But it's amazing because it's not just that they have bets on one, they have bets on many. And part of that is the just like Los Angeles, turnout for these races is extremely low. So a lot of factors are at play here.
Oh my God. Yeah. And he, you know, his main competition just got Me Too, Scott Stringer. So
yeah, but he wasn't
probably like obviously not. He was just a representative.
Progressive like resurgence of
the Democratic Party machine, just like I've been talking about.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was, oh shit. Yes, now I remember. I don't know that there's that much that we can do in the space of the mayoral race. DSA declined to endorse anyone because they're like, we can't do anything with this. That said, I would certainly vote for Diane Morales because she's the only candidate who supports our initiative to defund the NYPD by half. That's $3 billion of NYPD money that can be taken away from them and transferred to other parts of the state, which, while having problems of their own, are at least ostensibly more geared towards keeping people alive than killing them, like housing education, healthcare, and whatnot. But an area where I think we can make a bigger impact is the city council right now. DSA has 6 endorsed candidates for city council. I made some calls for Brandon West the other day, and they all support the initiative.
He wasn't, whatever, I have a whole thing.
I mean, I mainly know about him.
Like, my whole thing is like DSA.
I mainly know about him through a defund lens, so I can't really speak to the rest of his politics. But like, and I'm not sure what relationship this may or may not have to the project of building socialism, but it certainly couldn't hurt to have fewer cops on the street brutalizing people. So I figure it's worth a shot.
On that note, sorry, Esperanza, we're going off on a tangent and I'm like about to debate something else. I strongly believe that DSA could make a difference in citywide races because of the low turnout and the ability to mobilize in specific targeted neighborhoods that there's a large, they could really make or break a candidate. But that's another conversation for another time. Esperanza, we're going to do a DSA strategy conversation. We should just do that. We should just like air out all of everybody's like frustrations with DSA. Be like, how do we fix this? How do we change that? Because I have a lot of opinions. Esperanza, what do you think of Andrew Yang?
To me, it's absolutely no surprise that Andrew Yang, has these sort of like police union lobbyists working for him. I think that on a deeper level, this has to sort of show us the bankruptcy of these democratic so-called anti-establishment campaigns, which are always establishment. For example, there was just a number released that the entire Democratic Party, including the so-called progressive wing, the party has been the most united since 1956. And so that really says something when we elect these so-called progressives, so-called anti-establishment candidates that are voting in line with the establishment they're allegedly fighting against. And I think that what that analysis would require would be a complete rethinking of an electoral strategy. Because what I've noticed is that we endorse these candidates that we call socialist or progressive, and they get in and they simply run with the so-called establishment. And with Yang in particular, I think it's really important to note that, his so-called UBI that he throws around to sort of entice everyone to his campaign, one, would only be a one-time payment per year, and two, would require cutting funding for homeless people, homeless services, and would increase money for police. So once again, I think that we have to be really critical of these so-called anti-establishment candidates, because usually it's a dress and they end up being very establishment in the end.
I mean, bottom line, you have to follow the money. And I don't know why it's so difficult for folks to just like follow the money, figure out who's working for them, who are their chief strategists, who else do they work for, and also who are their main donors. There's a non-starter for me in New York, and that's, do you take developer money? Have you taken developer money? And have you given it back if you haven't? And have you changed your rule? I mean, have you rezoned your neighborhoods? Have you police unions? At least 3/4 of our lawmakers in New York City have taken money or worked with police unions in the past. It's fundamentally like, and simultaneously, there's a new batch of candidates who've popped up. And I think Esperanza brings up a great point. Like, what do we know about them? Who is backing them? Who's actually backing them? Ranked choice voting creates a whole other level of dynamics in these races, in which sometimes you'll have two candidates kind of back each other up to push out other candidates. But there's this, it encourages party. We have two parties in New York. We have the Democratic Party and the Working Families Party. There's no Republican Party in New York. So there's a lot of power dynamics that go at play. So I think Esperanza is totally correct. The system, the electoral system, at least in New York City, which is a new form this cycle, breeds these kind of power plays. And I think we as activists and voters need to wise up to these strategies. Jamie, you got final thoughts? We got to wrap because Dorsey has to go get a second COVID shot.
I mean, I can't wait till Yang puts a casino in the middle of Central Park and I have to, bring my Bitcoin wallet with me to go like play the slots, and maybe I'll win some healthcare that way.
You don't bring your Bitcoin. You think your Bitcoin wallet. It just shows up in a hologram.
I have no idea how any of this works. Someone bought me some Dogecoin actually as a going away present.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And I should probably check on it because I hear that it's had a jump in value lately, value being fictitious monopoly money or whatever that means nowadays.
Dorsey says, check it. That's like when my aunt gave me a government bond. Is that what it is? Government bond? I don't even know what it is. And I found out like 20 years later, because it was like a 5th grade, gift. It was worth like $200. Free drinks. Esperanza, final thoughts.
Yeah, I guess my final thoughts are just that I think that there is so much to be learned from everything that's going on politically right now. And so I hope that all of us understand like the gravity of the moment and how our decisions will impact the very survival of our species, right? And so we have to take a sort of scientific approach to our political struggle. And I hope we're all paying attention and learning from this.
The Nomiki Show.